Canes can pull off the upset behind a new starting quarterback. 19-year-old true freshman Emory Williams gets the call under center for Miami today. Welcome everyone to ESPN's afternoon college football on ABC, presented by Tums. Miami comes in at 6-3. Florida State a perfect 9-0. They've already clinched a spot in the ACC title game. They're number 4 in the country. Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy, delighted to have you with us as always in this matchup. An electric atmosphere. The Florida State Seminoles, Greg, if they win out, they're going to be in the college football playoff. Solid team in every phase of the game, very well coached, but it's really Jordan Travis who drives the bus.
He's amazing, and the way he's progressed over the course of his career is really remarkable. And this year, becoming so well-rounded as a passer. He's really developed from the pocket, continues to make unbelievable decisions. Only 2 interceptions on the season. He's always been a great athlete running the football, but man, the progress he's made on the intermediate and the downfield passing attack to a really talented receiver core, that's really been the difference from where he's been in the past to where he is this year.
He doesn't say a lot that makes headlines. We visited with him during the week. He said he grew up disliking Miami. His brother played baseball here at Florida State. The Canes fans used to heckle his brother. He really wants to beat them for the 3rd year in a row. Meanwhile, Miami, it's been a very up and down season. They started out 4-0. They've lost 3 of their last 5. Turnovers a big problem. Almost all of them by Tyler Van Dyke. 11 in his last 4 games, so he goes out, and what a spot for the young man Emory Williams to step into today.
And what an amazing opportunity. And if you look at what Emory Williams did early in the season against lesser competition, he tore it up. Got thrust into the starting lineup because of injury against Clemson. They protected him. A lot of throws around the line of scrimmage that they say he's built for this moment. Has tremendous poise. And Shannon Dawson, the offensive coordinator, said he's going to get the ball out on time to where it needs to go, and that's exactly what's been missing for Miami.
They beat Clemson with Williams at quarterback in a double overtime victory. With more on Emory Williams, down on the field, here's Molly McGrath.
Well, Sean, quarterback Emory Williams split reps with Tyler Van Dyke all week and didn't know he was starting until Thursday morning, and head coach Mario Cristobal just pulled him aside before this game and said, play bold. You can't ease your way into a game like this. And Emory Williams is at home here in Tallahassee. His dad, Steven, went to school here at Florida State. His parents met on this campus, and he grew up going to games in this stadium. They spend every major holiday visiting family here, so this start, a full circle moment for the Williams family in this environment. Nothing new for the true freshman, Sean.
He's one of 7 children, all boys. He's the 3rd oldest. 4 of his 6 brothers are here today to cheer him on. Florida State's won 15 in a row, dating back to last season. The opening kickoff on a muggy day in the capital of Florida. Right after this.
And this is for a win. Boston to the right. He missed it. Wide left. Bobby Bowden wonders why Lord me.
For about 30 years, this was the rivalry in college football. They're trying to get it back to being among the most important games annually around the country. It's always important for these fan bases. It's the ACC on ESPN. Miami won the toss and deferred. So Florida State will receive the opening kickoff. These are 2 dangerous kickoff return teams. Each has run one back this season for a touchdown. To span Keziah Holmes back for the kickoff from Andy Borregales. Mostly cloudy skies, the temperature near 80 degrees. There is the slight chance of a passing shower, and it's a bit on the humid side. Borregales, 35 touchbacks in 52 kickoffs. He generally doesn't give you a chance to return it. And that's a good idea with Deuce Spann back there, who brought one back, 99 for a touchdown against Duke. Miami leads the all-time series 35-32. But Florida State has won the last 2, including a 45-3 win in South Florida last year. Here comes Deuce Spann. Did well to get to the 20. They made contact with him well shy of that. And here comes Jordan Travis. In his 6th year of college football, 1 year at Louisville, came here to Tallahassee in 2019. And is one of the great success stories in college football. Struggled early on, booed off the field a few years ago, thought about transitioning to wide receiver. Now he's a Florida State legend, trying to be the first Seminole quarterback to beat Miami as the starter 3 years in a row. His 37th career start. They are 26-10 with him under center as he starts for the 26th game in a row. With Trey Benson, the running back. Short set. It is Benson wide open and out of bounds near the 40-yard line, out at the 38 for a gain of 17.
Miami is highly aggressive defensively. Pressure on the first play by the defensive coordinator Lance Guidry. Travis gets it out immediately for a nice gain.
Playing without one of their starting cornerbacks, Darryl Porter, injured last week in their loss at NC State. Jaden Davis, who left last week's game, is the other starting corner. They had each started every game so far this year. Benson swung down by Jafari Harvey. Benson, part of the story, he played for Miami's Mario Cristobal when Cristobal was the head coach at Oregon. And when Cristobal left to go back to his alma mater, Benson went in the transfer portal. He had been battling knee injuries. Miami didn't want him. Benson ran for 128 last year against his former coach in that rout in Miami Gardens. Deep throw down the sideline and a step too long for Jaheim Bell.
It's a good decision there by Jordan Travis, but with Bell, who's an excellent tight end, not quite the same level of top-end speed that you would see from Keon Coleman or one of those wide receivers. Got to be a little bit more air underneath it to allow him to run underneath it.
And that's a big story today as well. Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson are back in action. Receiver. Neither one of them played last week in the win at Pittsburgh. And they struggled for a while without them. Won 24-7. First time they scored under 30 all year. Under pressure, Travis got it off, caught, but it does not appear to be enough for the first down. Johnny Wilson came back to the ball for a 7-yard gain. He's 2 yards short of the first down. Wesley Bissaint, the linebacker, put the pressure on.
And Jared Harrison Hunt here engaged with the right guard, Dimitri Manuel. They kind of get a little bit crossed up as he breaks free inside, forces Travis to his left. It was a nice throw, but not enough to convert the third down.
Alex Mastromano in the punt. Xavier Restrepo back for it. He wears a different number as a punt returner. You don't want to have duplicate numbers on the field. Great bounce for Mastromano, and they're going to down it inside the 2. They have such outstanding special teams coached by John Papuchis, and it's always been a point of emphasis for head coach Mike Norvell.
And a big mistake there by Restrepo. You have to field that punt, as he lets it bounce it around the 12, and the progressive pylon cam will show you well done by the Seminole special teams unit to drop it inside the 2.
It was A.J. Cottrell who batted it back for Coach Papuchis. They are tremendous on special teams and have been for all 4 years under this Mike Norvell staff with Papuchis, the special teams coordinator. So a tougher spot now than it even would have been for Emory Williams, the true freshman, starting from his own 2. Faked it to a fellow true freshman. He wants to launch it deep, and it's just a little bit too far for Colby Young. Well, they said he won't be fazed by it, and they have him dropping back into the end zone and launching one deep on his first throw of this game from a couple of hours away in Milton, Florida. Led them to that victory against Clemson. They came from behind. They were down 17-7 in that one. Leaned heavily on the run. They'll probably ask him to do more today. As Molly said, be bold.
They're going to have to. This Florida State secondary is very good, and it'll be tight coverage most of the afternoon.
Mark Fletcher, the running back. He's emerged as a starter in recent weeks. The old offensive lineman Cristobal likes that straight ahead running style. He got 4. He ran for a career high 115 for Coach Cristobal last week at NC State. 5 and 6 head-to-head against Florida State. He was 3-1 as a player, an offensive lineman under Jimmy Johnson and Dennis Erickson. Played on a couple of national title teams back in the heyday of both of these programs. Crowd going crazy. Cristobal told his team, survive the first 5 or 6 plays in the atmosphere and you'll settle in quickly. Again, Williams in the end zone. Fires off the hands of Restrepo. Should have had it. He would have had a first down. And they were lucky it didn't get picked off by Akeem Dent.
Really well protected, and the throw looked as if it was on the mark, just a touch wide, as Restrepo gave it a great effort, but nearly intercepted as it was tipped up. And Dent got a couple hands on it as well. Fortunate break there for Miami.
So now Dylan Joyce, the true freshman from Australia, almost standing on the back line of the end zone. Keon Coleman at the 50-yard line. Line drive kick, and effective, and a fair catch made by Coleman. Retreating back to the 45. 50-yard punt. We proudly present Veterans Week on ESPN, brought to you by USAA. All season long, student sections across the country competing to be the Taco Bell Live Más Student Section of the Year. Download the Taco Bell app to learn more. We saw a lot of these FSU students getting ready to audition for the Taco Bell Live Más Student Section of the Year. Really, as early as Thursday, they were kind of pre-gaming.
Oh, yeah.
College Town, just down the road. Down to the pistol, Jordan Travis with Trey Benson, the running back. And Benson patiently ahead for a 4-yard gain. He had a veteran offensive line. Left to right, Darius Washington, Casey Roddick, Maurice Smith, Dimitri Emanuel, Jeremiah Byers. A combined 198 career starts. The least experience is Washington, the left tackle, and today's his 33rd career start. Dump to the tight end, Marquiston Douglas. Very close to the first down, about a yard short. They love their tight ends.
They're highly efficient when targeting the tight ends, too, with Jaheim Bell, Marquiston Douglas, and Kyle Morlock. It's 3 guys that have very different skill sets, but extremely effective in the pass game.
3rd down and 1, 4 minutes gone by. The option toward the short side of the field. Looked like Benson was in trouble. Now it's the Canes who have a problem. Touchdown, Trey Benson. They are marking the ball out of bounds, it seems, back at the 39-yard line. Nobody on the field realizes it, nor does this crowd.
The ruling on the field is the ball carrier stepped out of bounds at the 39-yard line. It'll be Florida State's ball, 1st and 10.
No question about it. So instead of the touchdown, it's a 7-yard gain for Benson, who's a big play maker.
Such a big body with great burst, as you could see just how fast he was once he got through the initial defense. He also can make you miss, too. He'll be spelled occasionally, though, by Lawrence Toafili, who's in the ball game now at running back. Very effective pass catcher. They really do a good job of utilizing him in that aspect.
They're going to stick with the pistol. Mike Norvell, the head coach, calls the plays. With plenty of help from the coordinator, Alex Atkins, who also coaches the offensive line. The fake to Toafili over the middle, off the hands of his receiver, and incomplete. Intended for Kentron Portier, who has only one catch all year.
What's so difficult about defending Mike Norvell is the way he makes the run plays look exactly like the pass plays. Downhill run was working a little bit earlier, ran it on 1st and 10, opened this drive, and a play that looks remarkably similar, and you fake it, you run the in-breaking route right behind it, and it's just off the mark for Portier.
8-13 in his first 2 seasons after he came over from Memphis, and you saw the graphic. 19-3. Winners of 15 in a row over the last 2 seasons. 3rd longest active winning streak in the country. Toafili, a hard-fought couple, taken down by Corey Flagg. Only Georgia, which will try to win its 27th in a row tonight against Ole Miss, and Washington, winners of 16 in a row, have longer winning streaks than Florida State.
He's done a great job with this program, just slowly developing a lot of the young guys that are now playing pivotal roles and chasing a championship.
He's done very well in the transfer portal as well. Douglas is wide open, has the first down, and is tackled around the legs at the 22 by Cam Kitchens, the outstanding safety. 16 yards and a Seminole first down.
And there's nobody out there with Douglas. They put the tight end out wide. They didn't communicate there defensively. He's completely uncovered. Travis hits him for a nice gain.
And now Florida State going with some tempo. They're in field goal range at the very least for Ryan Fitzgerald. Leaning heavily on the pistol so far. Toafili thrown down by Leonard Taylor III, part of a Miami defensive front that is headlined by Reuben Bain, a tremendous freshman, true freshman out of Miami, who was recruited by Florida State. Knowles had him up here for a visit last year. 1 week later he committed to Miami. They knew he was probably going to go to Miami. His brother Reggie is a graduate assistant on the Hurricane staff. It's a screen with a flag down. It's an incomplete pass. Corey Flagg had coverage on Keziah Holmes. Adam Savoie is the referee.
Offside. Defense number 20 lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. It's 2nd down.
James Williams, the safety, who will play around the line of scrimmage, clearly lined up offside.
Yeah, and trying to be in press coverage, but a little bit too close there as he's unaware of where he's at in the neutral zone. That's Guidry. He's been talking all week long to his defense about defending screens. One was coming right there from Florida State and looked like they had it pretty well sniffed out. So got to be real mindful of that when playing against Mike Norvell.
They said they spent all day Monday working on defending the wide variety of Florida State screens. Travis over the middle, caught, first down inside the 10. Jaheim Bell, the transfer from South Carolina, with a 9-yard gain.
He's going to be a problem for this Miami defense. They like to play a lot of man coverage, Miami does. So against man, if I have a tight end that's a matchup nightmare, that's where I want to look as a quarterback. So it's going to be very difficult for Miami to account for Jaheim Bell all afternoon.
Jeremiah Byers came off the field injured. Les Harris came in for him, so they shift Darius Washington from left tackle to right tackle. Benson. Long time for a whistle. He got stacked up after a 2-yard pickup. Benson played 1 year for Mario Cristobal, excuse me, Greg, at Oregon, and transferred here to Florida State, now in his 2nd year for the Noles.
He's developed into an incredibly well-rounded back and does a great job in this part of the field. He always keeps those legs driving when the yards are hard to get.
Benson up the middle to the goal line, spinning, touchdown!
great job there in the middle by Maurice Smith. He's engaged with the defensive tackle. Leonard Taylor throws him to the ground, goes right to the right side of him, Benson does, and he continues to drive as he spins forward to find pay dirt. That was a great effort run by Trey Benson.
Ryan Fitzgerald for the extra point. Made all 45 this season. He's still perfect. 10-play, 55-yard drive capped by Trey Benson, redshirt junior from Greenville, Mississippi. His 9th rushing touchdown of the season in 10 games.
You're watching Veterans Week coverage on ESPN, brought to you by USAA. ABC College Football is presented by Tums. Tackle game day heartburn fast and love food back. Use as directed. And in part by Jersey Mike Subs. Be a sub above.
Parachuting in here, we have some of us reaching for the Tums, the U.S. Special Operations Command Para-Commandos from MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa. 3 of them parachuted in pre-game. This Veterans Week, a heartfelt thank you to all the men and women who have served our country throughout the years and those who are doing so right now. The Fitzgerald kickoff is a touchback. Veterans Week presented by USAA. So second possession for Miami. This time Emory Williams not in the shadow of his own goal post. They started their own 2 and went 3 and out.
Highly important for Miami today to impose their will at the line of scrimmage. They have to be able to run the ball downhill. Florida State's excellent on the edges. They have great athleticism, but they have to be able to attack the defensive tackles, which is a 3-man rotation for the Seminoles.
Mark Fletcher, the running back. They want to pound the run. There's a flag down before the snap for a false start against the Hurricanes.
False start. Offense number 61. 5-yard penalty. First down.
The true freshman, Francis Maui Noah, out of American Samoa IMG Academy, part of the best recruiting class in the history of Miami football. They had 15 players, including Maui Noah, in the ESPN top 300. Same 5 starters have opened every game on the offensive line this year for Miami. One of only 11 FBS teams to do that. Fletcher bounced outside. Fletcher, another one of those highly touted freshmen, shoved across the boundary by Renardo Green. And some woofing back and forth after an 8-yard play.
That was a great job by Xavier Restrepo, too. He started on the right side of the formation. He went all the way back around to the left and got a nice block for Fletcher. Watch Restrepo pulling around. You see an undersized wide receiver get that much engagement with the corner. He missed him at the end, but had him set up if Fletcher would have broke off inside of him.
Restrepo grew up in South Florida, dreaming about playing for the Canes. Ahead, Fletcher, just a little bit short of the first down. As a matter of fact, we talked to Xavier Restrepo during the week. He said, if I'm being totally honest, I came to Miami to play in this game against Florida State. A lot of disdain on both sides of this rivalry. Third down and 3. Williams on target, first down, and lots of run after the catch. Jacoby George, what a nifty run. After the reception, he took it all the way to the 25-yard line. Kalen DeLoach made the tackle. It was Kevin Knowles who whiffed, and that sent George on his way.
And also a broken tackle against Fentrell Cypress initially, who had the coverage underneath. Knowles just out of control as George puts a little shimmy and gets to the outside. He's got great run after catch potential, but has been a little bit inconsistent with his hands the last few weeks.
His 42nd catch of the season. Second on their team behind Restrepo's 60. Williams given a nice pocket, and it's incomplete. Almost hit the umpires. He fired toward Richard Smith. Azarie Thomas had the coverage.
That was a good example of Emory Williams' maturity. Tried to get a shot play. They faked the screen underneath, try to run the wheel up behind it. It's well covered. He didn't throw into coverage. He gets back to his next player in his progression. It's incomplete, but it wasn't a turnover, which has been a huge problem naturally the last few weeks at quarterback.
Tyler Van Dyke. One turnover in his first 4 games, 11 in the last 4, necessitating the change. Fletcher stood up and driven back. Cypress there with help from Malcolm Ray. There's Van Dyke on the sideline, available as the backup today. And Shannon Dawson, the offensive coordinator, Greg, told us, we feel like the other 10 guys are playing well, and we've seen it here. He said it wasn't like Van Dyke's getting pressured and hit all the time. He was getting clean pockets, not making good decisions, not making good throws.
Guys were open, and he just wasn't hitting his mark. And at that point, you have to inject a spark. And they believe that Emory Williams is that spark. So far, he's looked pretty good, even though the numbers don't necessarily reflect it just yet.
1 out of 4, but it was a 43-yard play. They blitz him up the middle, and he gets smushed back at the 33-yard line. Kalen DeLoach with a 10-yard sack.
And he just becomes right in between the left guard and the center. Clearly a bust in protection. You have to protect inside out. Cohen stayed wide. Lee stayed on his guy inside. DeLoach is unblocked right up the middle and makes this field goal much more difficult for Miami.
Andres Borregales, one of the best in the country, 17 out of 19 this season. And he hooked it. There's been a few wide lefts and a lot of wide rights in this rivalry. Borregales, after making 14 in a row, has now missed his last 2.
And it looks like the holder, Will Hutchinson, kind of bobbles the snap just a little bit. You see it bounce on the ground, and the laces are straight back as Borregales hits it, hooks it a little left. And you see Aaron Feld, the strength and conditioning coach, talking to Hutchinson after the fact to trying to iron that out moving forward.
A rare miss by Borregales, the candidate for the Luke Rose Award, which his brother Jose won for Miami in 2020. Benson got hit hard. Words that will be repeated today on both sides. It was Francisco Maui Noah, better known as Kiko, their second leading tackler, transfer from Washington State so he could play with his brother, the freshman offensive lineman.
And he's their best blitzer. He's also their signal caller. Has a great understanding of the communication necessary in Lance Guidry's defense. So a very important piece there at the second level for the Canes.
There's Lance Guidry. First year at Miami, they changed out both coordinators. They have 7 new full-time assistants of their 10 from last year when they won just 5 games in Cristobal's first season as head coach. Benson fighting for every inch and got within a yard to the first down. Well, we mentioned part of the story. Benson played for Cristobal, and as you can see, no lingering bad blood. And when we talked to the Florida State coaches yesterday, they said, they understood why Mario Cristobal wouldn't take Benson with him. You go to a new place, as the Florida State staff did when they came from Memphis here. You don't want to bring too many of your guys from where you were before, because you want to win the trust of the guys you're inheriting them. And let them know that you believe in them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Deion Sanders famously said, I'm bringing my own luggage, and it's Louis. But if you do that too much, you can certainly have an impact on the culture that you're going to try to create and the buy-in that you might get from the guys that are held over from the previous staff. So he decided against it, and it's worked out great for Florida State as Benson's developed into an All-American type of player.
Leonard Taylor is the injured player, and he's walking off, sophomore from Miami. Top 10 SEC showdown tonight on ESPN. It really is one of the games of the weekend, really the game of the weekend. Number 9, Ole Miss, and number 2, Georgia. Bulldogs, two-time national champions, 26 wins in a row. 7 o'clock on ESPN between the hedges tonight. Trey Benson, the running back, on 3rd down and 1. Travis has the first down. All-time leader in total offense at Florida State. By far the all-time leading rusher among quarterbacks at FSU.
And a similar play they ran earlier on 3rd and short where they pitched it to Benson. This time the defense does a great job of keeping contained, but Travis stays patient, goes right inside his left guard Casey Roddick, and has just enough for the first down.
Lawrence Toafili in, and running back behind Travis. Seven 0 Florida State. Toafili. Good tackle by Maui Noah. That might have gone a lot longer. 3-yard gain.
100% right there. If Maui Noah doesn't make that play, Toafili has really nobody behind Maui Noah. So if he doesn't make that one, that was a critical shoelace tackle.
Toafili, excellent number 2 running back. Redshirt junior out of St. Petersburg. Final minute of the opening quarter. Travis caught, first down. Inside the 35, Johnny Wilson, the 6'7" wide receiver, with an 18-yard gain.
Man, is it nice to have Johnny Wilson back. Came back a little bit for the Duke game, but left in the 3rd quarters, missed the last 2 weeks. But he's such a physically imposing target there with a great catch radius, so it's going to be huge to continue to utilize him off play action and take a shot or two against undersized corners for Miami.
Wilson did not play in the last 2 games, and Keon Coleman did not play last week at Pitt. Travis going deep for Coleman, and it's just out of his reach. Jadis Richard had the coverage. Transfer from Vanderbilt.
Miami's been a little bit beat up at corner the last couple weeks. Jaden Davis and Daryl Porter went out of the game last week. You referenced earlier, Sean, that Daryl Porter is not available today. Davis is, but it seemed like talking to Mario Cristobal and Lance Gidger, they might feel a little bit better about the younger players on their roster. Damari Brown in particular, number 6, he's a freshman. He's 6'2", and Jadis Richard, number 25, just in coverage a moment ago. He's 6'1" to go up against 6'4" Coleman and 6'7" Wilson.
Flag down. Might have been a timeout first. The officials are going to talk about that.
There is no false start on number 88. Prior to the snap, timeout. Florida State, their first, 30 seconds.
Adam Savoie, the referee. This season, All-State will celebrate every field goal and extra point made by participating universities by making a donation to the university's General Scholarship Fund. Thank you, All-State. Such a great rivalry for a 30-year stretch from the late 70s to 2006. 30 meetings. At least one of these two teams was ranked in 23 out of 30. 13 of the 30, both were ranked in the top 10. There was a 7-year stretch From 1987 to 1993, they were both in the top 9. And how about this, Greg? 1991, 92, 93. Each of those 3 years, they were both in the top 3 in the country when they met.
Unbelievable. I mean, this game every year of my childhood was appointment television. All the great players there throughout the 90s, late 80s, and obviously the early 2000s as well.
Over that 30-year stretch, they combined to win 7 national championships, and Florida State added one in 2013. Travis throws, caught, first down, inside the 20. It's Jaheim Bell with a 15-yard pickup. He's had an active first quarter that is about to end on that play. Jordan Travis, 7 out of 10 for 88 yards in the opening 15 minutes. And Benson, the touchdown. ESPN's presentation of college football on ABC will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Coach, where do they challenge your defense the most in that first quarter?
Well, I think the fact that they're mixing up the run and the pass really well. They hit the RPO. They've given them a lot of time to throw the football as well. You know, we had a couple times we had a chance to get to them. We got there late. We got to slow them down. The best way to slow them down is to make sure we keep moving the sticks.
All right, thanks, Coach.
It is Florida State moving the sticks at the moment. First play of the second quarter, 7-0 Seminoles. Jay Benson finally gang tackled after a 2-yard gain, and Coach Cristobal right on it. 12 rushes and 10 passes. Good balance in that play calling for Florida State.
And they make everything look the same too. So all the runs are married to the passes, and then after you run one of each, they have their curveball off of it as well, where it might be a screen. So Mike Norvell very thoughtful in his game plan every week, and does a tremendous job making the defense face a lot of eye violations where they're looking at one thing, it's going another direction.
Leonard Taylor back in for the Miami defense, and that throw is incomplete. Looked like a throwaway in the general direction of the Michigan State transfer Keon Coleman. We talked to Lance Guidry yesterday, the defensive coordinator for Miami. We said, what's the biggest challenge facing Florida State? He said, those 2 big wideouts.
I can certainly understand that. I mean, those guys are so difficult. Even when they're covered, they're open. But here on a 3rd down and long, Lance Guidry normally in the red zone, he likes to bring a lot of pressure. Knowing that those receivers are so dangerous, will he put his defensive backs on islands by bringing the house?
They are crowding the line of scrimmage. And a one-man Bain was down in a stance. It is to the end zone and incomplete. Off the hands of Keon Coleman with the true freshman Damari Brown in coverage. He's really been coming on in recent weeks.
Trying to work a back shoulder. It's well thrown, just a little bit high for Keon Coleman. Tried to flip his hips late. Was well defended by the freshman Damari Brown. It's a tough matchup. They're in one-on-one against what's likely to be a first-team All-American.
So here's Ryan Fitzgerald. He made his first 10 this season. He's 11 out of 12. You saw the only miss was a shorty at Wake Forest. And that one's good from 33. And the junior Fitzgerald having an excellent season. 10-0 for Florida State. And Jordan Travis, who most people now have right in the thick of the Heisman Trophy conversation, along with the 2 West Coast quarterbacks, Michael Penix Jr. of Washington and Bo Nix of Oregon.
And earlier today, J.J. McCarthy, his victory against Penn State, really their first test of the year, kind of unimpressive with the numbers. Ran the ball effectively, but he might be trailing those aforementioned 3 now after what was kind of a so-so performance throwing the football.
It was a Michigan win at Penn State without Jim Harbaugh. Here, the game controlled by Florida State. Just 51 yards in the opening quarter for Miami, and 43 of them are on a pass play. No chance for Brashard Smith to return the kickoff of Fitzgerald. Here's a look at today's college football playoff rankings, brought to you by Prudential, number 1 Ohio State, number 2 Georgia in action tonight. Terrific win for Michigan. Washington in a big one out west, trying to stay undefeated. Oregon and USC tonight. Texas and TCU on ABC. Alabama winner at Kentucky. Boy, remember all that angst about your alma mater at the beginning of the year? Oh boy, it's really going downhill.
They figured it out, haven't they, Sean?
Yep, I think old Nick Saban knows what he's doing. Emory Williams. Can they get some sustained offense? Fletcher. The pickup of 4. Molly?
Well, Sean, this Veterans Day is extra special for the Williams family. His son Emory starting for Miami in front of his father, Stephen, who served in the Marines on Operation Iraqi Freedom, and he also went to Florida State. And they come from a proud military family. Both Emory's grandfathers served, and the family moved around a lot growing up. Stephen served in 19 countries on 4 continents. And as you mentioned, he's one of 7 boys ranging from 23 to 7. So for the Williams family today, about honoring the sacrifice of our veterans, but also celebrating their sons' accomplishments. Sean.
There's chagrin because there was an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty against Miami, we believe, on Brashard Smith.
And it was well after the whistle. As you can see the ball carriers down on the field, and
oh boy,
there's Brashard Smith, who kind of hits the defender Greedy Vance right in the head in front of the official.
So it wipes out a gain, and it's 2nd and 21. The Canes offense really struggling. They go to a quick screen, and it works well again. Jacoby George has been all their offense so far. He had the 43-yard catch and run in the first quarter. He has 25 here and a first down to the Miami 40.
And a terrific job by the right tackle, Francis Maui Noah, number 61. He gets a piece of the defender, and it's off to the races. A little earlier, Jacoby George broke the game open on that 3rd down conversion catch and run. That's another one there where he shows off the speed.
Greedy Vance is the injured Florida State defender, backup defensive back. Kick off your Week 10 NFL Sunday, 10 a.m. The Countdown Crew on ESPN and the app. They'll have the early breaking stories, injury updates, previews of each game right up to the kickoff and Monday Night Football. Caps Week 10 at 8 p.m. Denver and Buffalo. Payne and Eli have the Manning cast on ESPN2. Broncos, after a rough start, have won 2-0. And some angst in Western New York. Thought the Bills were going to be better than 5-4. Mark Fletcher, a 1-yard pickup on first down. You see a shot of Renegade there. Scott Johnson, our great director. Renegade is a Broncos fan.
Oh,
tying that all together.
Makes so much sense. Yes, that makes perfect sense. It's next level thinking from the great Scott Johnson.
Emory Williams, the 19-year-old true freshman. Again, given a nice clean pocket, and the pass batted down by Joshua Farmer.
Protection's been excellent for Emory Williams so far, with the exception of the sack where they had a little bit of a bust up front as Farmer goes vertical and makes the play. This will be a spot, though, to watch those excellent defensive ends from Florida State, Jared Verse and Patrick Payton, especially on the right side, working against the freshman Maui Noah.
Payton, a standout at knocking down passes at defensive end. He wears number 11. There's Adam Fuller, the defensive coordinator. Williams steps up and goes down in the arms of Kalen DeLoach. His second sack, that one for 5 yards.
And he's watching Mark Fletcher to make sure he doesn't escape. As soon as Mark Fletcher engages, though, with the defender, that frees up DeLoach to be able to close and drop Emory Williams for another 3rd down sack.
5th-year senior DeLoach, one of their team leaders, their leading tackler. Perhaps their most important play of the year when he blasted Cade Klubnik The strip sack picked it up, ran it in 56 yards for a touchdown to tie that game at Clemson. They were fighting from behind all day. Won it in overtime to end a 7-game losing streak against the Tigers. Dylan Joyce punt wound up very well for Miami, out of bounds at the 14-yard line.
Tyler Van Dyke, such an experienced player, and talking to the freshman Williams, it's so
not surprising he'd be helpful.
Yeah.
Shannon Dawson said, it's a very close quarterback room. He's going to be supportive of Emory Williams.
Shannon Dawson really challenged Tyler Van Dyke. Hey, man, be the best teammate you can be under the circumstances, and having that extra set of eyes with your backup quarterback on the sideline is so valuable to a young guy that the game is probably moving really fast for at the moment.
11.5 to go till halftime. 10-0 Florida State. Trey Benson, the running back. Travis faked it to him, just did get it off. It's Jaheim Bell. They have every kind of screen you can run. Their first play of the game last week against Pittsburgh was a tight end screen.
We referenced earlier how the run game sets up the play action, and then their changeup is a straight downhill run play action. They bring Bell across the formation. He chips the defensive end, and then you throw it to him on a quick screen. They have so many different variations of the looks to make it difficult on the defense.
16-yard gain, and that one dropped for a loss. Trey Benson hit behind the line of scrimmage by Wesley Bissaint. 3-yard loss.
Bissaint just beating those pulling offensive linemen, and Bell and Darius Washington kind of turning up field, not seeing Bissaint, and he drops Benson behind the line.
Play clock running down too long for Mike Norvell's comfort, and he uses his second timeout.
Florida State, there's seconds, 30 seconds. Please reset the game clock to 10:14. Media timeout.
ABC College Football, presented by Tums, is brought to you by USAA. This Veterans Day, go beyond thanks to make a difference.
Here in Tallahassee, there are 3 memorials dedicated to veterans: World War II Memorial, a Korean War Memorial, the Vietnam War Memorial. We're in the capital city of Tallahassee. We are honoring all of America's heroes this week, including those on our crew. David Wright, our generator technician, served in the U.S. Army. Paul Bush does a great job down on the field with our audio in the U.S. Navy. Our cart driver, Ron Parker. They're all trying to act like they're not on TV.
Great guys, and we're so appreciative of their service.
We sure are. Kurt Johnson, our official stat spotter up in the press box, also served in the U.S. Army. We thank all of them. Lawrence Toafili. Short game. Matter of fact, it's a loss of a yard. Kigo Maui Noah, Jacob Lichtenstein in there for Miami. Under 10 minutes to go in the half. 10-0 Florida State. Mike Norvell calls the plays. They average just under 40 points per game. They're 9th in the country in scoring offense. They're trying to set up a screen. Faked it in one direction, threw it the other way. And Ja'Kai Douglas dropped by K.J. Cloyd. So all that practice against screens paid off for Lance Guidry's defense there.
And that was a good tackle in the open field by Cloyd.
7 is now 37. 7 is 37.
So difficult to defend Mike Norvell with all the different screens and faking it one way, throwing it back the other way. You have to be very disciplined defensively, and that time Miami settled in and made the stop.
Alex Mastromano on the punt. You want to guess where he's from?
Australia.
Australia is correct.
Is that the athletic trivia question?
No, it is not, but we're going to have that in just a moment. Xavier Restrepo back deep for it. Play clock almost ran out. Good kick. And a fair catch made by Restrepo at the 19-yard line. 55-yard punt. Here's the Aflac trivia question. You want to know when was the only time an unranked Miami team defeated a top 10 Florida State team? That is the situation here today. Miami was ranked as high as number 17 in the country. Is that a hint? Scott Johnson, Phil Dean showing Bobby Bowden's signature. This is Bobby Bowden Field. I have a feeling that was a hint.
Something tells me that he was patrolling the sidelines of that number 10 Florida State team.
Miami was as high as number 17 when they started 4-0, including a win against Texas A&M. They have fallen out of the rankings. Bashard Smith is seeing more time at running back. He's primarily a wide receiver. Shoved out by Zaire Thomas. 6-yard gain. You want to guess?
I'm going to
blurt out a year.
I'll say 97.
Well, close. 1980. Pitchers duel. That's the answer to the Aflac trivia question. 10-9. Howard Schnellenberger was in his second season and Bobby Bowden his fifth. Jim Kelly scored on a 1-yard run. Seminoles scored late, went for 2, didn't get it. Donald Chaney is their featured back early in the year. And we have a highlight from 1980. I'm guessing that's Jim Kelly on the 1-yard run.
Would assume so.
And there's the late touchdown. Rick Stockstill threw the touchdown pass. They went for 2 and didn't get it. Miami the winner. These two schools have met every year since 1969. Chaney again. Lead to head to the 30. Well short of the first down marker. They'll need 8 more. Patrick Payton made the tackle.
So far, Florida State's been excellent against the run. Not a lot of room for any of these talented Miami running backs to really get going. Of course, the sack yardage will kind of affect the rushing numbers as a whole, but there just hasn't been a lot of space.
Miami only 2 field goals in Raleigh against the Wolfpack last week in a 20-6 loss, and they both came in the first 17 minutes of the game. They didn't score in almost all the final 3 quarters. Isaiah Horton to catch. Not enough for the first down. So it's been a long time since they put any points on the board. Shannon Dawson's the offensive coordinator in his first year here.
3rd and medium. They're almost always trying to design something to get it in the direction of Xavier Restrepo. He'll be lined up in the slot to the top, working against Jerrion Jones, who's back from injury for a week ago. I think Florida State will be real mindful of that matchup.
They rushed 5. Williams takes off running, lowers his head and gets the first down. And that brought his sideline to life. No slide. His parents love it. 6 yards and a first down.
And a good decision by Emory Williams, too, and great effort. Knowing how far he has to go to gain, the collision takes place right at that line to gain. And him lowering his shoulder is ultimately what gives him the momentum. His parents have to love it, but hold your breath when your quarterback and your son take off and engage in that kind of contact.
I'm just guessing based on her hat and his shirt, they have a good time. they look like fun people to hang around with.
Absolutely.
There's Chaney, a nice bounce to the outside, and now some speed. Inside the 35 of Florida State to the 34, a pickup of 26.
And you're going to see 2 Florida State defenders really work inside, which really allows a ton of room for Chaney to get to the edge. Tatum Bethune slid way too far, assuming that run was going to be an interior run. Cheney bounces to the outside, and Miami run game finally finds some open field.
Matches the longest run of the year for Cheney, a redshirt sophomore from Homestead. Well, so many of the players on these two teams from South Florida. Play fake Williams, throwing in a single coverage, lots of contact, and they let them hand fight with no flags. Colby Young and Azarie Thomas. And I think Mario Cristobal wanted the flag, and he's not going to get it.
Tried to go with a stutter go, just a little stop. See if you can't get him on the double move. A ton of contact there, and the crowd reacting strongly, believing that Colby Young threw down Azarie Thomas en route to the ball. I think that's probably a good no call with both guys grabbing onto each other.
They can both commit penalties.
Exactly. Basically an offsetting
penalty. Both did something, so we're not going to flag either one of them. Here's Cheney again. Donald Cheney inside the 10 and out near the 5. 29 yards on the run. That's a new long for the season for Cheney.
And a perfect kick out block by Cam McCormick. Cheney hesitates just right behind it and then gets to the edge yet again.
They stick with Cheney. Of course, he was a part of the most memorable play of their season. They were off to that 4-0 start. They had Georgia Tech beat. All they had to do was take a knee. But Coach Cristobal decided not to call for that. Cheney fumbled. Georgia Tech went down the field in 4 plays in the final minute to hand Miami about as excruciating a defeat as you could have. Cheney was in tears afterwards. Mario Cristobal said he never should have been in that situation. Mark Fletcher's in now, trying to jam it off left guard, and he was stopped after a minimal gain. Gilbert Edmond, transfer from South Carolina, backup along that deep defensive front. Fabian Lovett, another backup transfer from Mississippi State, in there too. 3rd down and goal. They're just 2 out of 5 on 3rd down. The Noles defense held Pitt to 0 for 11 on 3rd down last week. Fletcher, the true freshman, is the running back alongside the true freshman quarterback, who fires, and it is caught for a touchdown. Jacoby George. What a drive. 11 plays, 82 yards. They took more than 6 minutes off the clock. And you saw the poise and accuracy that the coaches talked about regarding Emory Williams. The extra point good by Andy Borregales. 2nd career touchdown pass for Emory Williams. He threw one in their win against Clemson, the only other game he started. George, the touchdown, the 7th of his career. We have a ball game in Tallahassee to the delight of the Williams family. Here's the next UFC fight night from Madison Square Garden in New York City with the light heavyweight main event. The prelims begin tonight at 8. The main card at 10 on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN Plus. Emory Williams just threw the first touchdown pass allowed by Florida State here at home this year. It's their first touchdown in a couple of weeks since they scored in overtime to beat Virginia. Florida State was the only team in the country that had not allowed a touchdown pass at home this year. Now they have. Here's Kevin Nagandi after the touchback.
Sean, Capital One halftime report minutes away. Booger McFarland, Kevin Nagandi here. Washington trailing right now at home. Alabama rolling on the road, and Michigan just mad and angry.
It was a dominant performance. Think about this, Kev. The quarterback didn't throw the football the entire second half. They didn't need the quarterback. Almost like an Alabama team that won the title, quarterback by one Greg McElroy.
Highlights and reaction, Greg and Sean, coming up at the half.
Before Booger even started his comment, I knew where he was going with it. I mean, I knew without question he was going to take a shot at me right there. That was a lot.
Well, you can handle it. You're tough. National championship winning quarterback. Jordan Travis with a flag down, likely for a hold. He ran away from the pressure, and then a flag came out. Jeremiah Byers might have had too much of a grab of Jared Harrison Hunt.
Holding. Offense number 63. 10-yard penalty. First out.
On Byers, a transfer from UTEP. Transfers have really helped improve the offensive line.
It was a good bull rush there by Harrison Hunt, just walking Byers back, and as soon as Travis starts to leave the pocket, see Byers' right hand grab the jersey, and it was called well there by the official.
First penalty on Florida State. Miami has been assessed 3. Travis, force back, in trouble, and taken down in the end zone. Bissate was there. The officials are conferring. There hasn't been a signal yet, but from here it sure looked like a safety.
The ruling on the field is that the ball was in the field of play when the quarterback was tackled. It's second down.
Replay official John Bush will undoubtedly be taking a look at that. Here's a look from the progressive pylon cam.
It's really close.
So Florida State's lining up to snap the ball. I can't believe that now the officials are going to stop it. I mean, you have to. What are you waiting for?
Previous play.
So we'll step aside, and when we come back, we'll let you know what Matt Austin thinks. 2:02 to go. Big call upcoming. Well, we're back, and just a moment ago, Adam Savoie, the referee, said the ruling on the field stands. I have no idea how, so maybe Matt Austin can explain this. When the knees go down, the ball's clearly in the end zone.
The only thing I can think is at first contact, his feet were in the end zone, but the ball was in the field of play. But as they continued down the line, as he ran, the ball naturally came back into the end zone where he was tackled. I think this should be a safety also.
Completely agree. I mean, it's when he's down, the ball is not beyond the plane. I think it should be a safety.
That's absolutely brutal. The replay official is John Bush, and the conference will have some explaining to do. And just getting out of the end zone is Benson. Well, the momentum has changed, but it would have changed more significantly had that been ruled a safety.
Now it's probably time for Miami.
Timeout.
Start thinking about timeouts.
They're first. 30 seconds. Please put 141 on the game clock. Thank you.
Trying to think of what to say. I don't know how you explain that.
Yeah. Outside of them just assuming the forward momentum and he was pushed back, but it didn't seem that way. Jordan Travis was going backwards, so he wasn't forced back. I think that was a safety. I think that was a missed call for sure.
And it's one of the problems, I think, with replay. Here's a view from the pylon. I mean, he is retreating himself back into the end zone. He's not being pushed back in the end zone. And when he gets taken down, he's in the end zone. The ball's clearly in the end zone.
It's a reminder, too, the ball has to, it's like a touchdown, it has to break the plane out of the end zone.
Out.
Correct.
Fully across the line.
And I don't think it was.
And we'll try to get an explanation from the replay booth at the half. Here's Travis out of the end zone, juggling, and a drop by Johnny Wilson on a ball behind him. So Miami should get the ball with great field position and plenty of time. 1:37 and 2 timeouts.
Really off the mark there by Jordan Travis has really improved his accuracy, but that time, I mean, you have a 6'7" receiver and you miss him by 3 yards. He almost reels it in, but that was a big play because now Miami can save one of those timeouts as the clock is stopped.
Alex Mastromano. His third punt. This is very returnable. And finally out of bounds across the 32-yard line. Now a quick word from Cheez-It.
I'm RG3Z. See you next time. Hey, who changed my name to RG3Z?
Me? It's a great combo. Like college football and Cheez-It, you like?
You cheddar believe it.
And how will college football fans feel? They're gonna be feeling the Cheez-It!
So there's a number change on the punt return. We don't know who number 36 is. They don't have one on their roster. Another one of the issues of college football that really should be addressed at some point. Duplicate numbers and guys changing numbers for particular plays.
Timeout.
That's
Florida State.
Corey Smith.
Their third and final.
Their starting center walking off. He's been injured off and on this season. Now on defense. A timeout used by Florida State. Seminoles really out of sorts right now.
Very much so. I mean, unable coming out of the timeout to properly get their correct personnel on the field for a 2-minute situation. This would be a good opportunity for Emory Williams. Praised for his poise. That's why he's starting this game. Has been making good decisions. Has had a nice start to the game, even though the numbers wouldn't necessarily reflect it. He's got to be really smart here in a 2-minute situation. You're already in field goal range. Can't take a sack under any circumstance. Just got to kind of continue to methodically pound away. I think that Miami, too, with 2 timeouts at their disposal, they can theoretically run the football here if the opportunity presents itself.
Well, prior to this, Miami's average starting field position was their own 18. Their first possession of the game started at their own 2. They're at the Seminole 31. Another screen intended for George. Deflected up in the air. Incomplete. Grady Vance, the crowd thought he picked it off.
Ruling on the field is an incomplete pass.
And now Emory Williams wants his teammates to line up quickly. Sorry, Thomas deflected it.
Probably don't want him to review that last play. It's the reason for the hustle.
And they are going to review it.
Ruling on the field of an incomplete pass is under further review.
Well, Emory tried to get them up there fast enough.
It does look like that left arm is underneath the ball.
Does it slide around right there?
It does move around a little bit, but it does look as though that left arm, though, is underneath it. It was called an incomplete pass on the field, so for it to be overturned, there has to be indisputable video evidence beyond all doubt. It looked like to me, Sean, like he was able to kind of corral that as he turned to his side.
The punt returner on the last one was Ray Joseph. Who ordinarily wears number 5. So if this one goes against Miami from the replay booth, they're really going to be hot in Canes Nation.
Yeah, understandable. I mean, first one, safety, definitely felt like it was a missed call. This one is a little bit closer. It's just whether or not he has control as he goes to the ground.
After review, the ruling on the field stands.
No anxious moments for Coach Cristobal. 1:20 to go. He has 2 timeouts. Florida State doesn't have any remaining here in the first half. Emory Williams at quarterback. true freshman from Milton, Florida. Recruited for a while by FSU, but they fell off after they got a commitment from a top freshman prospect in Brock Glenn. Here's Donald Chaney, the star of the second quarter. Down to the 13-yard line at a first down. Patrick Payton the tackle.
And there's only 5 defenders in the box defensively for Florida State. They have 5 blockers, obviously, along the offensive line. That's just really bad numbers from Florida State trying to take away the pass. Miami recognized it was a similar alignment to play before. They hand it off, and it's a big gain.
6 carries for 80 yards for Chaney, all here in the second quarter. Carried only twice for 4 yards last week at NC State. They're on the move with 45 seconds to go. Trying to take the lead. No gain there. Tatum Bethune, the senior linebacker from Miami, out of Central High School, and went to UCF and transferred to FSU. And Miami now has 1 timeout left with 37 seconds to go.
Please reset the game clock to 39 seconds.
39 seconds to go. Tomorrow, the women's college basketball triple header. Starting at 1 on ABC, number 14 Maryland, number 6 South Carolina. At 3 on ABC, second-ranked UConn against NC State. And at 5 p.m. on ESPN, 9th-ranked Indiana against number 15 Stanford. You know, we've seen so far, Caitlin Clark's still pretty good.
Oh my goodness. She's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. It's wild to see LSU lose season opener as well. So a lot of drama right now here in the early going of hoop season.
Rashard Smith, they're trying to get him more touches as a running back. Primarily a wide receiver. He's on the left side of Emory Williams. Williams, plenty of time, is pass complete to Smith. A little bit behind him that might have cost him the first down. And perhaps even a touchdown. So it's 3rd down. Less than a yard with 20 seconds to go in the first half. And Fletcher in big trouble. And they'll have to let it run all the way down and call the timeout and kick a field goal to tie it. And that's what Cristobal is going to do. Tatum Bethune, the initial contact on that 3rd down stop.
And just all discombobulated is Jared Verse off the left-hand side. He beats Riley Williams, the freshman, who's coming across the formation trying to kick that defensive end out. Verse too quick. Makes a big stop there behind the line of scrimmage on 3rd and short.
So Florida State was ahead 10-0 and looked like they had it in cruise control. Miami doing very little on offense. But the game has turned. And now Borregales, who missed from long range in the first quarter, will have a chance to tie it.
Watch the snap and the hold closely here, because the last time the holder, Will Hutchinson, kind of bobbled it. And the laces were back, which caused that ball to hook left. So got to watch the operations here.
27-yard attempt. 13 for 13 inside of 45 this year. And they'll head to the locker room tied. What else do you expect when it's Miami and Florida State? Although in the last few years there have been a couple of routes. 1-1 by each side since 2020. Emory Williams impressive, showing that poise that the coaches talked about. Completed only 5 passes, but did not look flustered.
Ladies and gentlemen, for your halftime entertainment, the Marching Chiefs welcome the University of Miami.
Florida State only 126 yards of offense in that half. The halftime report after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
You're watching Veterans Week coverage on ESPN, brought to you by USAA.
And we welcome you back to ESPN's afternoon, transitioning into evening college football on ABC, presented by Tums. This is the ACC on ESPN. 68th meeting all time between Miami and Florida State. And another dandy. Florida State got off to a 10-0 lead. Greg McElroy less than a minute in to the second quarter, but then all Miami. Florida State had 1 yard of offense in the second quarter.
Yeah, they couldn't get anything going on the ground. You look at Travis, he was struggling with the protection. Didn't have any receivers that were breaking free, so it was really nice adjustments from Miami's staff to lock things up in the second half.
Onside kick by Florida State. Up for grabs, and Miami has it. So John Papuchis, Mike Norvell trying a surprise onside to start the second half, perhaps change some momentum, and it didn't work. It was recovered by Frank Latson, a backup wide receiver.
And it was a really well-placed onside kick, but how about Latson going up and high-pointing that ball? Looked like it was going to be an easy recovery initially from Florida State. Ball hangs a little too long and allows Miami to recover.
A big play by Latson. Transfer from Clemson, an excellent field position for Miami. Trying to pick up where they left off in the second quarter, and they do. Mark Fletcher right through the middle of the defense for 20 yards.
And a great job by the center and the right guard, Matt Lee and Inez Cooper, just driving the defensive tackle off the ball. Fletcher's able to cut right off of that to the inside. And a great opening play for the Hurricanes.
Miami outgained Florida State 129-1 in the second quarter, after it was 125-51 Noles in the first quarter. Fletcher dropped for a 1 yard loss by Akeem Dent. And Greg, we should make the point that onside kick wasn't a response, wasn't panicked by Mike Norvell, John Papuchis. We were told yesterday they had an onside kick in that they were going to use. They thought it would work, as you said, it very nearly did. And so this wasn't, oh my gosh, we're on our heels a little bit, let's do something. They came into the game intending to use that onside kick.
And it was executed well. It was just a better play by Latson to reel it in amongst a swarm of Seminole kickoff men.
Second and 11. Fletcher, the running back. Emery Williams gave it to him. He bounced off a hit from Tatum Bethune, but couldn't get away from the second one. Here's Molly McGrath.
Well, Sean, I asked Miami head coach Mario Cristobal about that non-call on the apparent safety at the end of the half, and he immediately started yelling expletives, not suitable for air. He was very emotional, saying that there were 2 calls in the first half that felt unfair to him, but he said his team stayed composed regardless. He said the key to success for them was running the ball well, and quarterback Emery Williams running with the football fired up their sidelines, fired up their team, and he reminded his team in the locker room, winning this game is why you came to Miami, guys.
3rd and 13. At the very least, they're in field goal range to take their first lead. Crowd making it really tough. And a timeout used by Miami.
Timeout. Miami. They're first.
Tied at 10. We're early in the third quarter in Tallahassee. The rivalry is spirited as it gets in college football. So many of these players from the state of Florida, particularly South Florida, they grew up playing with it against each other. They pick sides in this rivalry. And since 2000, 17 meetings decided by 8 points or less. That's the most in any rivalry in college football. Last year was a big blowout in favor of Florida State, 45-3. Now Miami, a 2-touchdown underdog, trying to pull off the upset. And perhaps they ran that screen once too often to Jacoby George. They lost 3, and that'll make it a longer field goal now, about a 50-yard try for Borregales, who has plenty of leg to make it.
That time, Shannon Dawson anticipating pressure from Adam Fuller in the Florida State defense, trying to knock him out of field goal range and decide to play coverage. They do a good job rallying up on the screen, drop it behind the sticks.
51-yard attempt. As long this season is 50 against Texas A&M. That one's hooking, and it's good. Just did sneak inside the left upright.
Well struck there for Borregales. As soon as it went through the uprights, he turned over to the Florida State sideline and gave him a bit of a piece of his mind. Not often when you see the kicker looking at the opposing sideline and talking a little smack.
Well, he's from Miami. His brother was a terrific kicker for the Canes as well. So many of the players we talked about, usually when we have the meetings with players and coaches during the week, they kind of downplay it. Oh, it's another game. We got to play under control. This was totally the opposite. As a matter of fact, Cam Kinchins, the safety from Miami, we talked to him. He said, we're going to stop the train. So they're talking about winning the ACC, going to the college football playoff. Jordan Travis is going to win the Heisman Trophy. We're going to stop the train.
They embrace it. They embrace the hate in this rivalry for sure. And given the lack of love that's on both sides, I'm surprised. The game's shockingly been pretty clean. Not a lot of extracurricular. Had the one earlier in the game against Bashard Smith, but there's no love lost between these two.
And a fair catch made on the kickoff by Deuce Spann. So some anxiety in this crowd here. They're not accustomed to seeing this. Florida State down by 3 in the opening minutes of the third quarter.
Really need to get Trey Benson going again too. I mean, the second quarter didn't have many opportunities to get him involved. He ran with a lot of urgency there in the first quarter where he was effective, but need to continue to feed him, and hasn't worked much up the middle. Maybe try some things on the perimeter.
Keon Coleman does not have a catch. He's been targeted 3 times. I think they try to get him involved. Here he is. Spins after the catch and goes down about 2 yards short of the line to gain. Jadis Richard made the tackle.
Get your playmakers started in the second half. Keon Coleman was quiet, and that was the biggest concern for Lance Guidry, was his matchup against Keon Coleman with his corners, and got to use him a little more here in the second half.
One of the best receivers in the country. His first catch for 8 yards. Travis over the middle. Ja'Kai Douglas. They're trying to run him down. And they finally do near the 5-yard line. James Williams saved the touchdown. 62 yards on the play to Douglas.
And you look at all those Miami second-level defenders, the linebackers and safeties, all looking in the backfield. Douglas sneaks right behind him on the RPO. No one's there to cover him, and he takes off for a big gain.
They had a career-high 115 yards receiving at Pitt last week on 6 catches. He had only 2 catches all year prior to last week's game, but without Coleman and Wilson, he stepped forward, and he just did it again. First and goal, Travis, shovel pass off an offensive lineman and free. Leslie Bassane had pressure. That was a bizarre looking play, and it's going to be Florida State's ball.
And number 44, the freshman Ruben Bain, just completely ate that up. They're trying to get the running back out into the flat and give him a shovel pass, but the freshman just blew up the left side of the offensive line, and there was nowhere for that back to escape.
Bain is a stud. Already twice the ACC Defensive Lineman of the Week as a true freshman. Second and goal. Here's Coleman down the sideline, stood up and driven out of bounds. Cam Kinchin said they're going to stop the train. He stopped the train and paid the price. Still down.
Timeout for an injury to a defensive player.
And that was a big collision. Ball thrown just a little bit behind Coleman as Kitchens delivers a big shot there on the sideline.
10.5 to go, third quarter.
The AT&T Countdown to the College Football Playoff National Championship. Monday, January 8th on ESPN.
Cam Kinchins walked off to the sideline. He's gone to the tent. He was involved in a very scary collision earlier this year in a game against Texas A&M. Had to be carted off the field, missed a couple of games. Thank God that wasn't as bad as it looked at the time. He's one of their best players. First team all-conference last year. It's 3rd down and goal for Florida State. They had 1st and goal at the 5. One for the last 4 on 3rd down. Morlock, the tight end, the motion man. It's a keep by Travis. He's in trouble and stacked up. For a loss of 2. Back to the 4-yard line. Stand by the Miami defense, and it'll force a field goal try by the Noles. Jaden Harris, who just came in for Kitchens, involved in the play.
And a great play by Jafari Harvey, too. He hesitated, squared his shoulders, made sure that Travis pulled that ball, and the rest of the Miami defense came to the rescue. That was well defended by the edge defender.
Jaden Harris, the redshirt freshman, just his 7th tackle of the year. Here's a 22-yard try for Fitzgerald to tie it. And it's 13 apiece with 9:32 to go in the 3rd quarter. Big play by Harris. One of the talented young players. Florida State has built it back up to national prominence. Miami feels like they're on their way with the way they're recruiting. With guys like Harris. Here's a look at the All-State playoff predictor. We made our choices. This is how we think it should be right now. I haven't changed my top 4. Did you?
No, mine's the same as last week as well, and mine's based on the eye test, not so much on the resume at this moment. That's kind of how I think the teams are playing. Michigan's the best, Georgia 2nd best, Florida State 3, followed by Washington, Ohio State, and Oregon at 6. But
until you knock out the champ, I'm going with the boxing thing. Hey, I knock out the 2-time champ. Georgia, I think, to me, would solidify number 1, win tonight against Ole Miss. I'm with you on Ohio State in the eye test, and to me, that win against Notre Dame's lost a little. They have 3 losses now.
Yeah, the offense continues to be very inconsistent.
And I moved Texas up ahead of Oregon. I just think their resume is the best among the one-loss teams. Big hit on the kickoff coverage. Rashard Smith running it back. And it was Ashlyn Barker who delivered the blow. And that's just another hit when these 2 teams get together. So, Greg, I can't overstate how impressed I am by Emory Williams for a guy who's just completed 6 passes in the game. True freshman, 2nd start, this environment, rivalry game. The number's not great, but he has been cool as a cucumber.
And there have been a drop or 2 as well, a tipped pass, so he's been really good. And the biggest thing, the decision-making has been outstanding.
He came in expecting to run. He runs, not sure it was by design. He had to run away from Shaheem Brown. Kalen Deloach flexing as he made the tackle. When we talked to Mario Cristobal yesterday, he said Emory Williams reminds me of the guys we had back in the day when we were great. The Steve Walshes, the Gino Torres. Poised, accurate, a leader.
Very detail-oriented individual. That's how Mario Cristobal described him. Mature beyond his years, doesn't make the same mistake twice, and understands how he fits into the offense. Doesn't need to be the star, but needs to be a distributor, and he's played well in that role today.
Donald Chaney ran for 80 yards in the 2nd quarter, helped turn the game in favor of Miami. He's ahead for 4. And here comes the big 3rd down. Florida State has the crowd back into it. After the tying field goal, Chaney limps off. And Fletcher, who is their starter these days at running back, is in.
Best guy on the perimeter so far for Miami today has been Jacoby George. Been really good on 3rd down as well. So if they can find a one-on-one matchup for number 3 at the top of the screen, that might be the direction that the freshman is looking at.
Covered by Renardo Green, who's the semifinalist for the Jim Thorpe Award as the best defensive back in the country. They brought pressure. Fletcher ran by some of it, but not past everybody. Braden Fisk in on the play. Tatum Bethune there as well. And a quick 3 and out.
looked like that was pretty well blocked initially, but Fletcher just ran right into contact. If he would have bounced that to the outside, much like Chaney did on a couple carries earlier in the game, looked like there was a lot of space. So not a great run there by the freshman back.
Dylan Joyce to punt more than midway through the third quarter now. Keon Coleman back for the punt. Brought one back 72 against Syracuse. Had never returned punts until this year. He stepped away from the ball. The Miami players think it touched Coleman. And it looked from here like it did, but Keon might have gotten on it. I think there'd be much more of a celebration on that Miami side if one of their guys got it. Well, one of their guys came up with it, flag, but the officials say Florida State ball.
As the ball was recovered by Florida State, first down, timeout.
40-yard punt. We mentioned Coleman hadn't returned punts until this year, and it definitely hit him, but he got back on it. They had some injuries at that position. He volunteered. He's been pretty good before now. You're watching ESPN Afternoon.
Miami safety Cam Kinchins was in the medical tent, athletics training staff tending to a lower body injury. They took his shoe off, taped his right foot and ankle, and he was walking gingerly, tried to put weight on that right foot, shook his head, but told everyone he would try to go, but he is not 100%, guys.
All right, Molly, thank you. On first down, Lawrence Toafili could not break free from the tackle of K.J. Cloyd. He held it, did Cloyd, to a 1-yard run. He's a transfer from Louisville.
The athletic player, and that time tackling open field, or tackling Toafili as he was breaking free. It's difficult to bring him down at an angle. That was well defended.
After the play fake on target to Johnny Wilson is Jordan Travis. He's dragged down in Miami territory near the 38. 26-yard play.
And that was a really nice route, too, by Wilson. He gets on the toes of the defender, Damari Brown, sits it down, moves away, slides to the sideline. It's a well-timed throw and good catch and run.
3 for 51 for Wilson under duress. Travis got it off. And incomplete, intended for Wilson with Damari Brown in coverage.
Have to expect Florida State to continue to try to get the football. Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman. Wilson coming back after a couple-week absence, so have to wonder how many reps he's going to be able to take. But the vulnerability of Miami's defense is on the perimeter at corner, so they need to take advantage of that matchup.
Here's Benson on the delay. Good call, well executed. Benson heading toward the end zone. 38-yard touchdown, Florida State. Prior to this possession, Florida State had minus 18 yards rushing since the second play of the second quarter. 38 on that one for Benson, with 27 yards all day. Prior to that run, Florida State goes back on top after the extra point by Fitzgerald. It's 20-13.
And just perfectly blocked up front on the GT counter. The left guard, Casey Roddick, he kicks out the initial defender. Darius Washington fills inside. Benson breaks right off those blocks going inside out, and he takes it the distance after that. Just extremely well executed on the counter, a play that Florida State has used forever since Mike Norvell has taken over. Haven't run it as often this year, but find success with it there on a big play by Benson.
Florida State ranked number 4 in the country, trying to get to 10-0. They're 9-0 for the first time since 2014. That was the last time they played for the ACC championship. Guaranteed a spot in the title game. They've already clinched it. This is their last conference game of the year. Louisville has the upper hand to be their opponent. Emory Williams and Miami with some tempers flaring over by the Canes sideline now. Miami trying to spoil everything for Florida State. There's a lot of football still to be played, Greg, but I think a lot of people around college football think a one-loss team for Florida State would have a tough time making the playoff. They need other things to unfold in their favor to make the playoff.
Yeah, they would completely lose control of their own destiny because they could be measured against a one-loss Ohio State or Michigan that wouldn't win their conference. So a game of vital importance here for the Noles.
Emory Williams been battling the noise all day. There's a blitz. It's picked up. Williams down the sideline a little too far for Jacoby George. Zaire Thomas had the coverage. We mentioned Williams' numbers not impressive. In fairness, he's not alone. Florida State came into the game, their opponents completing only 48.4% of their passes for the year. Only one other team in the country has held their opponents to under 50% completion percentage starting today. That was Ohio State. It's very rare.
And it's remarkable, too, considering how many young guys that rely on there in the back end. A lot of freshmen and sophomore that playing pivotal roles and performing at a high level.
Here comes another blitz from deep. It's picked up. Williams a little bit too far out in front of Xavier Restrepo, who still does not have a catch today. Came in with 60 for the year. That's just the second time he's been targeted today. Brady Vance the coverage, 3rd down and 10. Again, they blitz right up the middle. Williams throws, and it's almost intercepted. There's a flag down. Zaire Thomas went diving for it, as did Jacoby George.
Prior to the pass, holding defense number 20. 10-yard penalty with an automatic first down.
Zaire Thomas in one-on-one against George at the top of the route. You see that right arm grabbing George, which allows him to break on the ball. That's a good call by the official, as Zaire Thomas hated it. But that was way too much contact at the top of the route.
Thomas, sophomore, Niceville, Florida, has been getting more action. Basically rolls in at the 2 cornerback spots as the 3rd corner behind Cypress and Green. They're about as good a tandem of starting corners as you can have. So a big break for Miami. And here's Cheney. Banged down after a gain of a yard. Joshua Farmer in there. DJ Lundy around the ball. Patrick Payton. Cheney did well to get across the line of scrimmage. We go under 5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter, and another important 3rd down for the Canes. Shannon Dawson came over from Houston, where he's the offensive coordinator for Dana Holgerson.
They have to involve Restrepo here. He's their go-to guy on 3rd down. Been really quiet the last couple weeks. But he's the best route runner. He's He's the guy that can create the most separation in man situations. So see if they can't get a target in the direction of number 7 for the Canes.
3rd down and 8. Pressure again. Williams throws it up for grabs, and it flutters incomplete. Trying to get it to Isaiah Horton. Kevin Knowles was the most important blitzer, who forced the quick lob by Emory Williams.
Another all-out pressure called by Adam Fuller, the defensive coordinator. That's 2 consecutive 3rd downs. They get flagged for holding on the last one. This time, Knowles comes free off the edge. He's unblocked. Williams knows he has to beat that defender with the ball. Just can't get it out quick enough with enough velocity to drive it down the field to give his receiver a chance.
Dylan Joyce to punt for the 4th time. Keon Coleman misplayed the last one. Line drive kick sends Coleman over by the sideline. And a 5-yard return of a 48-yard punt. They'll start at their own 20. 13th annual State Farm Champions Classic is Tuesday at the United Center in Chicago. Number 2 Duke takes on 4th-ranked Michigan State in the first game at 7. Then the exclusive reveal of the next college football playoff top 25 rankings. That's a pretty entertaining between-game show. And after that, back to the hardwood. Number 16 Kentucky takes on number 1 Kansas. That time of the year, just about everything in action.
We got all kinds of action. Looking forward to it.
Design rollout for Jordan Travis in the flat. Coleman has it. And a gain of 6.
It's very clear here in the second half that Mike Norvell is really getting Keon Coleman involved to the highest priority. That's a couple drive starters where they've targeted him to kind of get him into the ball game.
He didn't have a catch in the first half. The fake to Toafili. They set up another screen to Kyle Morlock. Another tight end screen. He's out of bounds shy of the 40-yard line. Transfer from Shorter, small college in Georgia. You can play, they'll find you in today's transfer portal. And Florida State's done very well in the portal. Back shoulder throw, caught. Johnny Wilson, another transfer from Arizona State.
And a nice back shoulder throw here. Wilson going up over the top in coverage by Jadis Richard. And a good throw by Travis. Holds up his big body receiver. He reels it in for a nice gain.
21-yard gain. Florida State up by a touchdown. They led by 10 in the first half. Branson Dean, backup defensive tackle, swung down Trey Benson for a loss of 2.
Play similar to the one that Benson scored on a moment ago. Just a little GT counter going from left to right. Dean sniffed it out and made the play in the backfield.
Approaching 2 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. Pressure brought by Lance Guidry. Another back shoulder throw dropped by Wilson. That was put in the perfect spot. He couldn't corral it with Devontae Brown, the older of the 2 Brown brothers, in coverage.
And he couldn't place the ball any better than that. It just looked like Wilson kind of lost track of the ball, got his hands up really late, and couldn't reel it in. But that was perfect ball placement there from Jordan Travis.
Really started to make his name as the Seminoles quarterback in this game 2 years ago when he brought them back late to beat Miami. C.J. Campbell in at running back. He goes out and they sack Travis. And a big sack all the way back into Seminole territory. Francisco Maui Noah.
And Maui Noah, this is just really well designed there. You see two defenders on the left side slide inside. Maui Noah wraps right around him. Travis about to break the pocket. Maui Noah's right there, and he drops him for a big third down stop.
But how big was the drop by Wilson? They would have been in field goal range. So here's Mastromanno. The punt for the 4th time. Ray Joseph, we believe, is the deep man in the never-ending switching of numbers. Oh boy, great bounce for Mastromanno. And they'll spot it at the 5. 51 yards, perfectly placed. Here's Kevin Nagandi.
Showtime now for our All-State Good Hands play of the day. And Boog, Michael Penix. Look at this throw to Rome Odunze.
I mean, nobody throws a better deep ball in college football than Michael Penix. I mean, the roll to the left and then a dime to Odunze.
You know who could? Greg McElroy. I believe in him. 33-28 the score.
Never.
Not in 17-mile-an-hour winds, I can promise you that. Maybe that wind's behind me, perhaps, but no way. That was a heck of a throw.
Back and forth they go. Florida State controlled the opening quarter. Total domination by Miami in quarter 2. Almost all Florida State here in the 3rd quarter. Mark Fletcher just barely across the line of scrimmage, stopped by DJ Lundy in the final minute of the 3rd quarter.
First half, some of those holes up front for the Miami running backs were massive, especially when bouncing it out to the right. They tried to go back to that a couple times. Chaney tried to drive a go. Right there, they tried it again, and Florida State's adjusted a little bit to not allow that big backbreaker out the back door to the right side.
Emory Williams, for those who joined us late, making his 2nd career start in place of Tyler Van Dyke, who has struggled mightily in recent weeks. Fletcher battles across the 11. Another skirmish along the far sideline. I credit Adam Fuller, the defensive coordinator here in the 3rd quarter. He's been very aggressive, bringing pressure after Williams and the Canes. Our presentation of college football on ABC will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
You just gathered your entire team together ahead of this 4th quarter. What did you say to them?
And this is what it's all about. You got 15 minutes, great rivalry game, back and forth, but I want to see our guys go finish.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thanks so much.
We said it yesterday when we visited. You prepared for this game for 364 days. It's the most important game they play, along with their rivalry game against Florida, which is a couple of weeks away. First play of the 4th quarter, Miami 3rd and 4, down by 7. They can't complete the quick slant to Jacoby George with Renardo Green, the cover man, and they'll punt.
Shannon Dawson looking on a little puzzled. Tried to hit Jacoby George on a little hesitation slant. Green just draped in coverage. Even if he would have completed the pass, I'm not sure he would have had enough to gain enough yards to pick up the first down. That was well defended.
Dylan Joyce has had a good day punting. Low line drives that have driven the return men back. It's Keon Coleman again. That one not his best. Coleman telling everybody to get away from it. And it takes a great bounce for Miami. They touched it. The officials have spotted it around the 29, even though it rolled all the way down to the 16. Here's a look at today's hardest working player, brought to you by Duluth Trading Company.
And it's Trey Benson. First play of the game. Pressure called by Miami. He's the outlet. Gets a nice completion early. A little later in the 1st quarter, Benson driving his way into the end zone for his first touchdown. And then perfectly executed up front by the Seminole offensive line. A little counter play. He breaks it to the right, then crosses field back to the left to find pay dirt for the 2nd time. He's been terrific playing against his former coach, Mario Cristobal.
2 touchdowns for Benson. Here comes yet another screen, and they blew it up with the pressure. He tried to get it off to Keon Coleman. It was KJ Cloyd, the linebacker. Well, these two teams coming at each other on defense.
Man, and this was a pretty low hit, too. As you can see, Jordan Travis trying to kind of jump over Cloyd, who was applying the pressure. Got his foot kind of caught up on Cloyd's shoulder pad and landed a little awkwardly.
He jumped, that's why it's not a foul. Matt Austin tells us. On 2nd and 10. Travis. That stood up, bounced off that, and finally swung down. It was James Williams who delivered the high hit and then has something to say to Travis. Williams, veteran safety, junior from Fort Lauderdale. Part of that excellent safety tandem with Kinchins. They're also best friends. Well, an important 3rd down now, a minute into the 4th quarter for Florida State on 3rd and 6.
The previous play is under further review for a potential targeting foul.
And you see Travis, who really is not mouthy, waving at Williams as if to say goodbye. You're about to get ejected for targeting. We'll see if that's the case when we come back.
After further review, there is no foul for targeting. It's 3rd down.
Well, Jordan Travis waved goodbye to James Williams, but he's still in the game. We'll ask Matt Austin about it in a moment, but here comes 3rd down and 6. Florida State, early moments of the 4th quarter. Leading by 7, the pass is incomplete for Toafili. Matt, what'd you think on that targeting, no targeting?
Well, I'm a little surprised they didn't call targeting because the defender lowered his head. Looked like he hit the crown of the helmet right on the tip of the face mask. Then it turned the quarterback's head sideways. I think this is targeting.
I agree, Matt. I mean, it looked like the crown of the helmet. That's what initiates the contact. That should have been targeting. It's as simple as that. That's another missed call. I don't understand it.
Florida State has dropped 5 passes today. Mastromano angling for the far sideline. Effectively so again. They'll spot it at the 16. And in the interest of full disclosure, and we had the controversy about the safety, the non-safety. Mario Cristobal irate at the half when he talked to Molly McGrath, and understandably so. I think everybody you and I have corresponded with who knows anything about football thought it was a safety, except the officials in the replay booth. We asked for an explanation from the replay booth at the half. We were told they were going to come to our booth to offer an explanation. They did not. We just called the replay booth to ask for an explanation about the targeting, no targeting, no response. We're trying to mimic Florida State. These are 2 good screen teams. They'll look in one direction, a screen attempt in the other direction for Fletcher, and Gilbert Edmond broke up the play. Emory Williams is 0 for his last 5.
And he took a big hit at the end of this as his head snaps back and hits the turf. Grabs his helmet immediately. Shaking it off just a hair, man. That was a little bit of a scary hit, the way that head recoiled against the turf.
He's 6 for 17 for 81 yards passing and a touchdown, no interceptions. He hasn't made the big mistake. Mark Fletcher slides ahead for very little. Neither team has turned it over. And that's a big development, especially for Miami with all the turnover issues in recent weeks.
The coverage in the second half from Florida State has been outstanding. Very, very small windows for Emory Williams to fit it into. And Adam Fuller has gotten more aggressive with his play calling as well. More pressures, more blitzes. Maybe things are spinning a bit for the freshman. I would throw a screen right here. If I'm Miami, they've had success with that tunnel screen. I would throw one here and see if you can't get one of your receivers to full head of steam.
Fuller brings pressure again. Williams behind Restrepo, who was open right around the line to gain.
He was open too. Restrepo working in man coverage against Jerry and Jones. Ball is thrown off target, probably because of the hit that Williams took from Jared Verse. Couldn't really drive through the throw, kind of steered it in there, and it was off target.
I wonder if the accumulation of the pressure is having its effect on Emory Williams. Third straight 3 and out for Miami, 4th of the game. Good punt by Joyce. Coleman made the first few miss. Keon Coleman, the punter, awaits and took him down. Dylan Joyce saved the touchdown.
There was a great initial move by Coleman to make Jaden Harris miss, who was running down as the gunner, and he's off to the races. Pretty good job there by the punter. Dylan Joyce to kind of force him back inside, but Keon Coleman at 6'4", so shifty.
57-yard return. Mentioned earlier they had injuries to their punt returners, so they basically held auditions. Keon Coleman said, okay, if you're going to open it up, I'll try it. He had never returned punts. John Papuch just said, well, we're a little concerned. He's one of our best players, but he was really good at it. He told Coleman, all I want you to do is catch the punt. Anything after that is a bonus. Well, there was a big bonus. To the 10-yard line. Poised to go up by 2 scores again. First and goal. Travis, the keeper, dodged some traffic. Still on his feet and almost scored. He had one more tackle to break, but Kinchins dropped him after a 7-yard gain.
Oh my goodness, Jordan Travis, just a Houdini play here. Looks like he's totally wrapped up, spins out of it somehow, keeps his feet and nearly scores. What an effort by the quarterback.
For an injured defensive player.
It'll be 2nd and goal. There's an injured Miami defender. It's Jared Harrison Hunt.
ABC College Football is presented by Tums. Tackle game day heartburn fast and love food back. Use as directed.
It is what you would expect when Miami and Florida State get together. Hard hitting, twists and turns, plenty of emotion, and a close football game. Florida State trying to go back up by 2 scores. They have it 2nd and goal at the Miami 3-yard line with exactly 12 minutes to go. They have had trouble scoring touchdowns in the red zone the last 2 weeks. They've outgained Miami in this half 171-28. Travis, the fade, Coleman, flag thrown. He was being held by Devontae Brown.
Pass interference. Defense number 7. Foul occurred in the end zone. By rule, the ball is placed at the 2-yard line with an automatic first down.
Pretty easy call here from the official.
Tough job there for Brown. When they say Coleman looks like what you want wide receivers to look like, he surely does.
There's no doubt about it. And Brown's had a bunch of pass interference penalties this year. That time again, doesn't even try to make a play on the ball. Easy call for the official.
So 1st and goal. Benson goes in motion. DJ Lundy, linebacker, lines up as a blocker, trying to lead the way for Travis, and Miami was not fooled. Corey Flagg dropped them for a loss. Loss of 4.
Corey Flagg right here. This was really well done. Navigating through the wash. There's nobody there for him, and he drops Travis for a big loss.
Florida State, no hurry now. Thinking at the very least they'll have a field goal and a 2-score lead, so killing some clock. We approach 11 minutes to go. And that one for Coleman. Even while being held, he caught it for a touchdown. There is the flag. They will likely pick it up. It was Damari Brown, the freshman.
There are few players in college football better than Keon Coleman when the ball is in the air. Contested catches are his specialty. There's absolutely nothing Damari Brown, the freshman, can do. The ball's well thrown to the outside. Progressive pylon cam gets a good shot. Easily seeing the feet inside. Keon Coleman stands up and flexes after the impressive catch.
Extra point good by Ryan Fitzgerald. It's the largest lead for Florida State, 14 points. All of us on our crew working this week and today with heavy hearts after the passing on Monday of a great woman, Carmen Johnson, at the age of 86. Mrs. Johnson, the mother of our director, Scott Johnson, lived a remarkable life, 50 years teaching dance to boys and girls in Ohio after she attended the Dance at College Conservatory at the University of Cincinnati. Our crew wearing ribbons, green ribbons in memory of Mrs. Johnson today. Green was her favorite color. And I think the reason it hits all of us so hard, the reason we know how special Mrs. Johnson was, because she raised an incredible man. A lot of those people you saw have been on this crew for 25 years because of Scott Johnson, a man of remarkable goodness and character. And that came from the example of his parents, Carmen and Paul, now reunited. Mr. Johnson patiently waiting for a couple of years for Carmen to reap her eternal reward for a life beautifully lived.
She's a special lady, and obviously it's with heavy hearts for all of us. And you said it perfectly, Sean. I mean, Scott Johnson is a phenomenal human being, and your greatest legacy as a parent is your children. And for her to have raised such a special individual, I know she's looking down very proud today. We're thinking about you, Scott. We're thinking about the Johnson family.
Our hearts ache, but yet we rejoice. So here comes Miami really up against it now. They wanted to rely on the run. They've thrown it only 18 times, but down by 2 scores. And with under 11 minutes to go, you think, Greg, they'll have to air it out more often. Chaney stuffed by DJ Lundy. Fabian Lovett.
Emory Williams at his first start, he was able to rally Miami from behind, down 10 to Clemson in the 4th quarter a few weeks back. So he's been in this position before, but the offense has been stagnant here in the second half. Haven't been able to run the ball, and the separation by the receivers has been really, really poor.
The pressure continues. Why change? Pass intended for Colby Young. Fentrell Cypress in coverage, and Williams is 0 for his last 7.
At some point, they got to try something downfield. I mean, they have thrown everything within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, and these Florida State corners and safeties are just squatting on everything. So they got to try something downfield to soften them up just a bit. Pressure look from Adam Fuller's defense.
And they just did snap it. And that one hits the umpire. Trying to get it to Isaiah Horton. And it hit Johnny Forte.
Unfortunate here for Emory Williams, because he did have Colby Young open, but it looked like the ball was going to be low anyways. late on the play clock, getting it snapped just in time. Excuse me, he was targeting Isaiah Horton. Looked like that ball was going to bounce anyways. Just not very accurate here in the second half.
So it's Coleman back deep. He has taken over the game here in the second half. That one's out of bounds, a 45-yard punt for Dylan Joyce. You're watching ESPN Afternoon College Football on ABC, presented by Tums.
Back in Studio AT&T, keeping fans connected as we take a look at our multi-view, which is showcasing a bunch of great games, events across our networks. How about this? Don't adjust your set. Over on ESPN, UCF all over Oklahoma State, 45-3 in the fourth. Back to you, Sean.
Maybe a Bedlam hangover for the Cowboys. Trey Benson, the ball carrier, Florida State, after some anxious moments in this game. Now with a 2-score lead, the ball, and they'll just try to run some time.
They've been running the ball real well these last couple drives, too, as Benson's starting to get going, and got to wonder if fatigue is starting to set in on the Miami defense.
Travis, deep drop, throws deep, and Coleman couldn't run under it.
Coleman was going to break open, but he was working on a deep V back to the high left pylon. So the aim point for the quarterback has to be up the field, and he kind of threw it up the field, but it looked like there initially it was Devontae Brown where he kind of grabbed the left shoulder of Coleman, might have altered the route just a little bit. Brown might have got away with one. As soon as the ball
sailed over his head, he turned toward the officials with his arms outstretched. He did get grabbed. In the flat, Ja'Kai Douglas banged down by Kinchin, 6-yard gain. Miami's secondaries played most of the day without Jaden Davis, one starting corner. He's been in and out, but mostly out. Darryl Porter, the other starting corner, has not played at all. They had started every game this year at corner for Lance Guidry. But they're battling with some inexperienced players, including the freshman Damari Brown. Sixth punt for Mastromano. What a day he's had, averaging 51. Both punters have been excellent. This one's another good one. Ray Joseph, the fair catch at the 20. Here's Molly.
Well, Sean, Miami quarterback Emory Williams has been really frustrated in this fourth quarter. He's been emotional and hard on himself, telling teammates multiple times, "That's on me. I need to be better." He even apologized to wide receiver Xavier Restrepo, saying, "I need to get you more involved. I'm sorry." And backup Tyler Van Dyke had to calm him down at one point, grabbing him by the shoulders, saying, "Just breathe, calm down. You got this." So Williams frustrated. We'll see if he can respond here, guys.
He's the new starter, taking over for Tyler Van Dyke, who has started over most of the last 3 seasons. They've had a lot of problems of late. They made the switch to Williams. He's 1 for 9 this half. And a lot of movement along the lines, and they stop it.
Ball start. Offense number 61. 5-yard penalty. First down.
CC Mauinoa, the true freshman. Right tackle, that's Alex Mirabal, the offensive line coach, alongside Mario Cristobal.
Relatively clean game between these two programs. Mauinoa that time sensing pressure and flinching just before the snap.
Williams winds up, throws it into traffic, and it's caught! It got through 2 defenders to Jacoby George, all the way, touchdown! 85 yards and no flags.
How did this ball get through 2 defenders? And Jacoby George, I don't know how he saw the ball that was perfectly covered initially, yet a safety over the top. And somehow Jacoby George able to put his hands out, reel it in. And there's no one between him and the end zone. How about the concentration from George? And he's off to the races. That was an incredible throw and catch by Miami.
And a huge day for George. Williams had 81 passing yards all day. He had 85 on that play. His parents love it. Melissa and Stephen. Parents of 7 children, all boys. George, 5 catches, 153 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Then we have a game again with 8:22 to go in Tallahassee. Parents of 7 children, all boys. George, 5 catches, 153 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Then we have a game again with 8:22 to go in Tallahassee. Over on the ACC network, the huddle going on right now. And then they'll have a 90-minute show. They'll get you set for Duke and North Carolina at 8, and that's a big one on ACC network, because if North Carolina loses, Louisville will clinch the 2nd spot and play Florida State in the ACC championship game in Charlotte. It's a touchback, and it's a 1-touchdown game.
You go back and revisit the play a moment ago that made it a 7-point game. Look at Kevin Knowles and look at the angle here. I mean, this is just atrocious in the back end. He almost runs underneath.
Well, he didn't play the ball
Jacoby
or
George.
make the tackle. I mean, it just like he was trying to get out of the way.
I don't understand what he was doing. You got to stay over the top. I mean, it's cover 2 man. That guy's in man coverage. You got to stay deeper than the deepest. And he went underneath it for whatever reason. I don't know what he saw that would lead for him to do that, but that's a big mistake there by Kevin Knowles.
So game pressure back on Florida State. They've gone silent on offense. 19 yards on their 10 plays in this quarter. Benson escaped with a stiff arm. Has a first down out to the 42-yard line. The 17-yard run for Benson, giving him 80 yards for the game on 14 carries.
A nice run there by Benson. There were 2 Miami defenders there and only 1 blocker. He set up his blocker and bounced it to the outside where he found some open space.
Well, they're not killing time. They snapped it with 20, trying to get back into a rhythm. Benson run out of bounds by James Williams, who stopped it after a 1-yard gain. Another backdrop to this game, the recruiting battle. Mike Norvell told us yesterday they have 112 recruits here, many of them among the top recruits in the country, a lot of them from the state of Florida, and many of them who will decide between these 2 schools. So the winning and losing may not be a huge factor in it, but recruits these days care a lot about style of play. Travis throws, caught. Wilson first down. Amari Brown had coverage on the Cane sideline. They thought Wilson pushed off.
And this has been something that's been there all game long. Working against Brown, the freshman. The top of the route, maybe a slight shove, but didn't seem too significant to be able to create that separation. I'm good with the no call there.
That's an example of the style of play. Both coaching staff said when you're recruiting the top cornerbacks, they want to watch you play a lot of press man coverage. And both of these schools do. Tough run by Toa Feely. Hard-earned 4 yards before KJ Cloyd got him on the ground.
Timeout.
It's Leonard Taylor down again. He was down earlier in the game. We've talked, Greg, a lot about this rivalry. You know, for 3 decades, it really was the most meaningful, impactful rivalry in college football from about the late 70s till about 15 or 16 years ago. They're both trying to get back there, Florida State's there, in my opinion.
No question.
They're back among the best teams, and you can see the progress being made by Mario Cristobal in this Miami group as well.
I think that they are much better than their record would indicate. And 6-3, but you look at the Georgia Tech game, that's essentially a game that you should have had.
They gave it to them.
Completely. And then the other self-inflicted mistakes that they've experienced since October 1st, 16 turnovers. Nobody in college football has more. So they can really look at themselves and say, we've been in just about every game. We've had several opportunities to win big games, and we've given a few away. So they've made tremendous progress this year. Mario Cristobal deserves a lot of credit, but at 6-4, if they can't pull this one out, definitely be disappointed to have let few off the hook.
Well, the reality is, when they came to the ACC in 2004, I think a lot of people thought these two schools are going to dominate the conference. That hasn't happened. Matter of fact, Miami's never won the conference. They got to the title game in 2017 after a 10-0 start, won the Coastal, lost to Clemson in the conference championship game, and lost to Wisconsin in the Orange Bowl. Florida State hasn't been in the title game since 2014. Of course, they did dominate the ACC in the Bobby Bowden era. And over the last decade, it has been Clemson at the top of the Atlantic Coast Conference. 2nd and 6. Benson running into a loaded box. Loss of 1. DeSaint made the tackle.
Big third down here for Lance Guidry's defense. Field position, of course, but the clock, especially with the new clock rules that have been adopted this year, you get under 5, that time starts to really evaporate before your eyes. So massive down here for the Canes.
Florida State is 0 for its last 7 on 3rd down.
It's looking like pressure from Guidry. You're looking at Johnny Wilson one-on-one at the top.
And under duress and swung down Travis. 3rd sack for Miami. Guidry brought the pressure and his defense delivered. Maui Noah the sack.
And the offensive line's just completely overloaded as Maui Noah just splits right between the left guard and the center. Mo Smith tries to get back and get a piece of him, but Maui Noah just way too quick through the hole. And a massive stop for Lance Guidry's defense.
First-year defensive coordinator, came over from Marshall. One of the colorful characters in college coaching, a Cajun from Welsh, Louisiana. Distant relative of Louisiana Lightning, Ron Guidry. Mastromanno's punt and a fair catch. They tell us now 36 is Brashard Smith. Pick a number and wear it, don't wear it. So here they come with a chance to march down the field and tie it, despite a 33% completion percentage from their starting quarterback. If you have enough time, you can stick with the ground game. It doesn't have to be flinging around all over the place. They've rushed for 127. They've passed for 166. Obviously some big plays in the passing game on just 7 completions. That is thrown away. Should have been intercepted right at Greedy Vance Jr. And Williams lucky to get away with that. Still not a turnover in this game.
It might have gotten tipped by Patrick Payton, who's applying pressure, gets that hand up at 6'5", gets a piece of it, and Greedy Vance almost reels it in for the interception. Great play there by Patrick Payton on the edge.
He has 7 pass breakups this year. That is the most in the ACC among non-defensive backs. He does a great job of getting his hands up and batting down balls. 2nd and 10. Williams takes it down short. Brashard Smith got within a yard of the first down marker. It'll be 3rd down and 1 after a 9-yard play.
Miami has not had a lot of success running the ball in the second half. Just 31 yards on the ground, and half those came on the first play of the second half. So depending on the look defensively from Florida State, you definitely could decide to throw the ball here given your ineptitudes up front in the second half.
Neither team stellar on third down today. Miami's 3 out of 13. Under 4 minutes to go. They run it unsuccessfully. A loss of about a yard for Chaney. And what will Mario Cristobal do here? Under 3.5 minutes to go, only 2 timeouts. He's going to go for it. Standout offensive lineman prefers power football.
I would move the pocket here if I'm Shannon Dawson. I would roll my right-handed quarterback to the right and see if I can't slip Restrepo out in the flat off a little bit of a rub route.
Restrepo's been virtually invisible. The play of the season to date for Florida State, and the timeout call by Miami, leaving them with only 1.
Timeout. Miami, their second.
Which makes this conversion, Greg, even that much more important with only 1 timeout left now. If they don't get it, it is almost certainly ball game over. Not that it wouldn't have been with 2 timeouts.
And Dawson having a conversation with his quarterback, but also looking at Restrepo, which would indicate that he's likely going to be the target here. How do you create some separation for him? The second half by Florida State in the back end has been excellent. I would move that pocket. I'd sprint the quarterback to the right. I'd see if I couldn't get a little pick to create a little more separation, make it a nice, easy pitch and catch for their quarterback.
So here it is. The latest big play in a rivalry heavily populated by them. 4th down and 2. Under 3 minutes to go. Miami down by 7. Looked like some confusion. Williams carries and lunges and might have gotten there. What looked like a broken play. You wonder how that can happen out of a timeout. And now Williams is not getting up.
Ruling on the field is the runner made the line to gain. Timeout for an injury to an offensive player. The previous play is under further review.
So now it is Tyler Van Dyke, replaced as the starter by Williams today. Emery's parents looking on with concern.
They tried to get Restrepo into the flat, similar to what we described. Emory Williams leading with his throwing arm, lands on it awkwardly. Great effort trying to reach the line to gain, but he grabs that arm immediately. And it really looks uncomfortable, man. Hope he's okay.
So Tyler Van Dyke, who's had an up and down career in Coral Gables, will come back in. Even with all the recent troubles, still a 67.7 completion percentage, which is best in the ACC, but he's been a turnover machine in recent weeks. The crowd looking at replays, they think maybe Williams didn't get the first down, that his knee was down before the ball made it to the line to gain.
The knee's down, it looks like right there.
And he fumbled it out of bounds as well. It looked like the fumble came after he hit the ground.
Does look like that right knee was down as he kind of stretched forward. Was hit initially. I think he's probably going to be a little bit short based on that look we just had a moment ago.
Well, it has been a controversial day for the officials, both on the field and particularly in the replay booth. And now another decision for John Bush, the replay official.
You feel just sick to your stomach as you see your quarterback on the ground writhing in pain, arm looking very awkward as he went to the ground and left his body on the line there on a 4th and 2, and his parents look on. Can't even imagine what's going through their head. Just an awful scene here in Tallahassee.
Yeah, Sean and Greg, I'm right next to Emory Williams. I can hear him loudly crying in pain, and athletics training staff was looking at his left arm and his left wrist area. They had to cut off his play call wristband, and right now they're putting an air cast on that left arm. So it's not looking good for Emory Williams.
I guess if there is good news, it's not a head or neck injury. What was such a thrilling day for his parents is now agony.
Any parent that has a child that can't even imagine what those guys are going through, man. Just awful.
It was a valiant effort. Remains to be seen if it's a first down or not. I'm sure they're still looking at that. Looked like a broken play live, but I think they just collided. It looked like it was supposed to be a run fake all the way. The play stands as called, so Williams has made the first down.
And on the play, it was kind of a broken play. It was well defended initially by Florida State. They tried to slip Restrepo out into the flat, and there was just nobody there as he kind of got cut off and couldn't get out into the area he was trying to occupy.
So many dramatic twists and turns over the history of this rivalry back to 1951. Wouldn't it be something if Tyler Van Dyke, who was replaced as the starter this week, marches them down the field? Junior from Glastonbury, Connecticut. It was his second full season as a starter. He was the Conference Rookie of the Year in 2021. He took over as the starter 3 games into the season. Had an excellent year. And Williams obviously in a lot of pain up around his right shoulder, still in tears. Right arm.
I mean, he just won over every single teammate, though.
And he already had from everything the coaches told us.
No doubt about it. But to leave your body on the line, totally exposed, stretching out with your throwing arm in a gotta-have-it situation, a desperation 4th down. You don't get it, you lose the game. He put his body on the line and sacrificed for every single one of those guys in white jerseys, and he'll be a hero in that locker room regardless of the outcome of this game.
His parents are going to head down toward the locker room. It's Tyler Van Dyke, who last year battled through an injury-plagued season. They went 3-6 in his starts, but he got them off to that great 4-0 start. He was one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the country at the beginning of the year. Had only 1 turnover in the first 4 games in which he played. Then the last 4, 11 turnovers, 10 of them interceptions, and 1 lost fumble. 2.5 to go. They're down by 7, and it's a drop by Restrepo's. Had a day he would like to forget.
Ball just a little off the mark from Van Dyke, too. One that you would hope that Restrepo would reel in. Maybe a little bit of jitters, though, from the quarterback coming in cold off the bench.
5 targets for Restrepo, no catches. 60 catches on the year coming in. On the delay, Fletcher didn't get much, and it's going to use a lot of time. They only have 1 timeout left. The clock is ticking, and they're not moving very quickly. Let's go, says Shannon Dawson. down and 7. 2 minutes to go. Florida State trying to go to 10-0 and stay on track for a berth in the college football playoff. Adam Fuller showing pressure and the dancing around, forced a false start.
False start. Offense number 61. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Francis Mauinoa, better known as CC in the Miami football program. 3rd Miami false start.
Just flinched again as those Seminole defenders rushed up to the line, anticipating pressure, and
the clock is running.
We need to hustle here.
No urgency from Van Dyke, who's been in these situations before. You have to go 80 yards. You have a minute and a half to do it and only 1 timeout. They snapped it at 3 on the play clock. Back shoulder throw, and it's caught for a 1st down. Colby Young for 14 on 3rd and 12.
And his first catch of the day couldn't come at a better time. He's got a lot of length at 6'5". He turns around on the back shoulder and corrals it. It's a great job reeling it in.
Mark Fletcher, the running back. To the sideline, another catch out near midfield. And they blow it dead for forward progress, being stopped at the 49-yard line of Miami. Colby Young stopped by Renardo Green. 15 more.
And a great job of positioning his body. It's really well covered initially by Renardo Green, but Young slips behind him and makes the catch.
1 minute to go. And that pass knocked down by Jared Burse. The terrific defensive end. One of the 12 semifinalists for the Lombardi Award as the top offensive or defensive lineman in the country.
Sack numbers have been down for Burse this year, but this is where you make your money as a defensive end at the next level. You can end the game by dropping the quarterback, so keep an eye on number 5, Jared Burse, and Patrick Payton on the other side, number 11.
And Dyke into a crowd, trying to get it to Restrepo. J.D. Vance had the coverage. Restrepo and Van Dyke been together a long time. Their former roommates lived together for 3 years. They couldn't connect on the completion there. 3rd down and 10.
You got to think if you get one-on-one, it's been good so far for you on this drive. You're going to look in the direction of Colby Young on a back shoulder at the top of your screen.
Van Dyke, there it is again. The back shoulder they knew was coming, and Renardo Green broke it up. So here's the ball game right here. 4th down and 10. Cristobal wanted a call on the defender Green. And now a timeout called by Florida State.
Timeout. Florida State. Their first. 30 seconds.
Miami 1 for 1 on 4th down today. 6 for 12 for the year.
Here's Shannon Dawson here. The last few snaps defensively from Adam Fuller have been cover 2 man. Man-to-man all the way across underneath with 2 safeties up over the top. You got to find a route that can beat that right here. And usually when you get cover 2 man, you want to work your slot receiver on an out-breaking route. Leverage by the defensive back in that coverage is going to be slightly inside leverage. So you got to look in the direction of Restrepo on an out-breaking route if they line up in the same coverage they've been in the last couple plays.
Van Dyke's 2 out of 6 since coming in on this drive for 29 yards. Both completions to Colby Young. 4th down and 10. Van Dyke rolls away from pressure, in trouble. Just throws it up for grabs, and it is intercepted. Jarian Jones picked it off. pressure on. And Van Dyke had to throw it.
And they did exactly what we thought they might. They tried to get Restrepo on an out-breaking route against the man coverage, and it looked like Restrepo was open. Van Dyke's got to throw it right now. That's open enough in a 4th and 10 situation. Instead, he tries to force it back across the middle, and it's intercepted. Just a poor decision there from Van Dyke, and I don't know what talked him out of trying to give Restrepo a chance on the outbreaker where he had to step on the defender.
One sportsmanlike call against Florida State after the play. It's the first turnover of the game. On 4th down and running out of time, he had to throw it somewhere, but as you said, perhaps not the best choice. And that has been a part of the numerous turnovers he's piled up in recent weeks. Bad decisions, and then when he's made the right decisions, he's just made some poor throws. Thrown into a very difficult situation. And Florida State is going to beat Miami for the 3rd year in a row. There is a flag down on the snap. Jordan Travis will become the first Florida State quarterback to win as a starter 3 years in a row against Miami, adding to his legacy.
Legal substitution, defense, 12 men on the field, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Florida State will go to 10-0. And it should be 11-0. They play North Alabama. No offense, North Alabama fans, next week here. And then a rivalry game at Florida in Gainesville to wrap up the regular season. Then the conference championship game, most likely against Louisville. The team they did not play in the regular season, and a very good Cardinal team that has one loss all year.
They're excellent, and they're really good at the line of scrimmage offensively and defensively. So if that's their opponent in the ACC title game, they get a win. They're marching back into the playoff for the first time in a while.
Miami will not use its timeout. The ascension back to prominence continues under Mike Norvell. What a job he has done. And there will be many battles still to come between these two coaches. There's Molly with Coach Norvell.
Coach, the interception to seal the win. What was it like watching that game-saving play in your shoes?
No, I mean, it's huge. I mean, just to see our guys, they fight. You know, I mean, obviously tonight didn't go, all in our favor. A lot of adversity that showed up. Our guys continue to believe. They played for 60 minutes, and then they're at the end making a play that was necessary. You're so proud of our football team. I mean, this rivalry game, there's so much emotion. It means so much to everyone, and you know, obviously it's just a huge game for our program. Proud of our players.
A lot of momentum swings in this game. How did your running back Trey Benson spark you guys when you needed it most tonight?
You know, they did a good job trying to clog up the run game, but you know, obviously being able to hit a big play. You know, Trey's a great player. You know, he's a wonderful job for us, and you know, we made the play when it was necessary.
You're now 10-0. You beat Miami for the 3rd straight year. What does that say about what you are building here in Tallahassee?
I'm just so proud of our players. I mean, the work they put in, you know, they sacrifice so much. I mean, we challenge them in every area, on the field, off the field, and all that they do to prepare them for times like this. You know, back-to-back 10-plus win seasons. Obviously, you know, winning the last 3 against that opponent is big for us, and you know, just so grateful for these players I get to coach.
All right, congrats on the win. Go give Mila a hug from us, Coach.
Yes, indeed. Go Noles.
His daughter, Mila, who dropped in, has done a remarkable job. It didn't start very well 4 years ago. There were some who wondered if he was the right man. They don't wonder about that anymore. Final score, Florida State 27 and Miami 20. It was a rivalry game in every sense of that phrase. For Molly McGrath, Greg McElroy, our great crew led by Phil Dean and Scott Johnson. Sean McDonough, so long from Tallahassee. Let's send you back to the studio.
Sean,